Hey, can someone on Zoom confirm that you can hear me?
I can
I
hear
can
you.
hear you.
Awesome, thank you. We're gonna get going here in about 2 or 3 minutes. Give people time to get on here, okay?
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
Cool, let's get going. So guys, we all know that affordable housing is an issue, right? It's been an issue for quite some time. So Vertical, in partnership with the town of Erie, they have a new development coming up called Cheesman Street development. So or Cheesman Street residents. So with that in mind, what we're gonna do today is talk about what it looks like to go down the path, if that's what you want to go ahead and do. And we'll talk about timelines. We'll talk about how you qualify and some background on it. Okay. Zoomers, I'm assuming that you guys can hear me. So if someone can't, let me know. All right, so the whole idea is it's a 35 unit affordable housing development. It's a partnership between the town and the developer. So there'll be 20 townhomes, 15 single family houses. And then there'll be a 2 acre parcel. It's over on a 2 acre parcel by County Line Road and Cheesman and Evans Streets in Old Town Erie. So the walkability of it's great, right? You're right near downtown Erie, schools and whatnot. They're all electric units, so you won't have gas stoves or anything like that. The next gen energy efficient. There's a pet friendly green space. And like I said, it's located right next to the Erie Middle School and Elementary School and then downtown as well. So the location will be really nice in terms of livability. So this is the big thing here, and we're recording. I think we are. Yeah, we are. So we can send this out later, and we're gonna put this on the website as well. But this is where I really watch for things. So unfortunately, we don't have unlimited amount of these homes, right? So there's only gonna be so many, the 35. What we're gonna start out with is what we call a pre-application process. So on November 16th, it's a Saturday at 9 a.m. There'll be a portal that opens up in conjunction with Alpine Bank. They're gonna be doing all the pre-qualifying around the loans and whatnot. And you'll submit your pre-application. We're gonna have this to you guys if you sign up on the interest list. We'll have that out in mid-September. We'll send it out so you have access to it, and we'll send it out multiple times. So you're not on November 16th scrambling to fill out this form. And then it's gonna be a first come, first served basis. So what I mean by that is, at 9 a.m., you're gonna walk into that portal, submit your pre-application. Now, from what I understand, it's gonna take probably roughly 2 weeks to start going through this pile because there'll be a lot of them. And it's all gonna be based upon really the size of your household and the income you make, right? If you make too much money, unfortunately, you will not qualify for this. And so what we'll do is as we go from November 16th and we move into November 24th, Alpine Bank will, or then in November, Alpine Bank will reach out to you and they'll say, hey, look, we got your application. And based on what you have, you would be someone that would work out for this community. Do you want to move forward or not? You might say, I thought about it, I'm good. Or you might say, I do want to move forward. If you do want to move forward, we're going to turn you from the interest list to what we call a reservation. So with the reservation, it's a $500 fully refundable deposit. So if 2 weeks later you say, I'm going to go move to Florida or something, it's all refundable at that point in time. And then you'll sit in a holding pattern. So we'll have that, it'll be held by the title company. And if you ever, need to change your mind, just let us know. When we get to January, So we'll get through all the holidays and all the craziness that brings on. Alpine Bank will be reaching back out to you. And this is when they're going to go for a full approval of you to make sure that everything about your income and your debts and your assets, it all works out. That process will probably take us about, I don't know, depending on how many applications there are, anywhere from a month to 6 weeks, maybe even 2 months to go through. So January to February, if you're on that reservation list, you'll be getting phone calls from our lender partners at Alpine Bank, and they'll say, hey, we need, your W-2s, this, that, the other, and you'll get all that information to them. So as we get through January and February, we'll know, okay, we had all these people on the reservation list, these ones actually qualified. And if you don't qualify, that $500 will be fully refundable, okay? Come to March, we're gonna do this in 2 stages. So we have the single family and we have the townhomes, right? And so with that in mind, in March, we'll say, okay, who wants a single family? And you might say, I don't want a single family, I prefer a townhome or whatever. And we'll go through the list top to bottom. Again, this is all first come, first served. And so as we go through it, we'll say, okay, which single family do you want? We have more than one floor plan, and you'll have access to all the floor plans. We're going to send an email out. I think it's in the beginning of October with what all the floor plans look like. There's 3 bedrooms, there's 2 bedrooms. So you can say, you know what, that's the one for me. You also have a pricing list. So you say, this is the one that fits into my finances. So June to August, the single family houses will start closing. They're not all going to close on one day, but as we're going through those 3 months there, we'll call people up roughly about 30 days out from their unit closing and say, hey, your unit's going to be closing roughly, July 1, and then we'll do an inspection. So we always do a third-party inspection to make sure our construction was done properly. We'll do that. Then we'll do a blue tape walkthrough where you walk through the house to make sure that there's no cosmetic issues, like we didn't miss paint somewhere or something like that. And then we'll move to close. During that timeline, you'll probably need to do updated bank statements and stuff like that to the lender. There's a few last little information around that. Now, July, we'll start going under contract on the townhomes. So again, we'll say, okay, maybe you didn't get a single family and you're still on the list, or maybe you opted out of a single family, you just wanted a townhome. We'll go back to the list, top to bottom. And with that, it'll be the same exact process. And then October to December, we will close those out as well. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. So that's what our timeline looks like now. I want to say this. New construction's not perfect. Okay. Imagine we have the winter of, 10-foot snows every day. The timeline is a good estimate, but that's all it can ever be. So please give us grace if, June construction pushes into July or something like that, because no one ever knows for sure what little hiccup might come up. Okay. So.
And you said this will be on the website.
Yeah, we're adding this to the website. Right now, we just have the one page. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but we're adding floor plans and this to the website as well. So you can go back to it as a reference. And if it were to change, we get to March and we're like, oh, this isn't going to work out, then we'll move it around. Now, I'll tell you what's not going to change is this November 16th. That we can be pretty firm on. So with that, that's where that'll happen. And we're going to send a series of 4 emails out to everyone that's on the interest list. If you only registered for this event today, but you're on the interest list, we're going to just add everyone into that email list so they're not missing out on anything. And those 4 emails are going to talk about what it takes to qualify, which we'll talk about today. Also, what are the floor plans? And then we kind of want to feel out and see where everyone's at. So we're going to have a questionnaire in one of them, like, what floor plan are you interested in, right? Do you want the townhome? Do you want this one? That way we kind of understand what we're working with. If we have like everyone wants a townhome, no one wants a single family, we want to get an idea around that. And then also, just so you guys know, before November 16th, on the 15th, I'm going to send out a mass text message and a mass email. Don't forget, tomorrow's the big day. So, set your timer and all that, but we will try to make sure everyone's on top of that November 16th date. Okay. All right. You guys probably have a lot more to say than I do. So in terms of financing.
Yep.
You want to go for it?
So we've got a couple of options here, some down payment assistance options, which is through check loan. So that allows you up to 4%. It's called a piggyback second. So it's 0% interest. And it just kind of can go towards the down payment, closing costs, and kind of help with the affordability. There's some conventional options, which for first-time home buyers allow as little as 3% down if you do have some assets to put down for the down payments. And, each is gonna kind of carry a different interest rate. With the Chaffa loans, Chaffa does hold their own interest rate and they update that on a weekly basis. With the Home Possible, which is a Freddie Mac loan, those are gonna be kind of based on the market. As of today, the conventional loans were at 6 1/8, so 6.125. With the Home Possible, because it's a first-time home buyer program, you are going to get a discounted rates based off of the affordability. One of the caveats here is there are income restrictions with the Home Possible. So there's AMI, this is Weld County, I think it's about $82,000 a year.
Yeah,
Boulder County.
Yeah, this is predicated on Boulder County.
Okay. So Boulder County has a lot higher AMI, which is about $115,000 a year. But you'd have to be within that 80% range of that AMI for the county. With Chaffa, they've got higher income restrictions. So 162,000 annual to still qualify for the down payment assistance programs. We've got some flyers over here that kind of go into a little bit more detail regarding those guidelines and kind of where it's going to land from a debt to income standpoint. But these are going to be kind of those first time home buyer programs, either lower interest rate or down payment assistance.
Can I say something really quick?
Mhm.
And unfortunately, just due to the way affordable housing works, I don't believe that these qualify for FHA or VA, right?
Correct.
So if that was someone's intention, unfortunately, it will need to be a conventional loan.
And with these loans, the mortgage insurance is also discounted, so, the groups that are associated with the affordable housing are really making a, concerted effort to try to help get more people with lower incomes into housing, so they've tried to discount as much as they can along the way.
Here's just kind of a breakdown of the area median income.
Let's explain what that means. I mean, the term AMI, I know that you and I throw it around, but it may not be something that people are familiar with.
So average median income for each county is what what it means based off of how many people are living in the home. And so there's a rating at the very far right side, my right, your left. And that 80% mark is where you would qualify for the home ready conventional program. And then we do have some avenues that go up to 120% of the AMI.
And just so you know, with these sales, we are trying to keep the AMI 110% and below. So if you're looking at this, like, do I qualify? Would it work out for me? The incomes are different, right? Because of house sizes. So that's why we had the question, are you under 160? And that's what the assumption of a 4-person family. It just depends on what size your household is and whatnot for that to work. Now I have a question with AMI. Let's just say it's me, my brother, and a friend that are buying it. Do you count all 3 of our incomes?
Yes.
Okay, so it's the household income. It's not just the one that's actually on the loan, correct?
If you, your brother, and your roommate are on the loan, it's everybody that's on the loan.
But if I intend to live with other adults, they're not included in it?
Right.
Okay. What about if my kids work, but they're not on the loan?
Just you, just the applicant.
So what percentage over here of the AMI do you have to be under?
We're shooting for 110.
The homes will be
I tell you
priced.
what, I can answer this.
Yeah.
I'm on the development side.
120, 110 every.
Yep.
All right, I want to try to be as clear as you can because AMI is the toughest part of the discussion. So the first 2 buckets of sales, so we have 35 homes, and with the grant funding that was available, we were directed to sell at 90% and below for roughly half the units and 110% and below for the other half of the unit. Technically, the restriction is 120% of the median income. But my sense is we will sell in those 2 buckets just because of the limited number of homes. So let's just say, I'm sorry if I say something wrong here, but we have looked at this so much recently. What does that mean, right? If you are a household of 3 at 90%, this is the cap household income, right? And so that would qualify for half of the homes. And the other half of the homes would fall under 110%, which is 144,540. What I would suggest is if you're in the ballpark of that household income, fill out, if you feel like maybe I'm a few thousand dollars, please still fill out a pre-application, because there's some nuance to that discussion. But this is as straightforward a chart as they produce, and I will say this is Boulder County's chart, so this is the accurate map.
Can I have one more thing too?
Sure.
Hi, I'm Eric Leverage with the town of Erie. One other nuance is that while this project, the income qualification is based on Boulder County. If you're looking at outside sources for down payment assistance, things like that, bear in mind that because the project is in Weld County, those outside sources that you might be going to for that funding for your down payment, things like that, will probably tie their funding considerations to Weld County. I know that's complicated, but I just want to make sure that folks understand that while the town and the developers are really viewing things from the Boulder AMI numbers in terms of whether you qualify for the project. If you're looking for outside sources of assistance, they might be sticklers about using the Weld County AMI numbers just because of how their programs work. Just wanted to make sure that folks understand.
Do you have a more specific question on that?
No, thank you.
Okay, sure.
Quick question. So I'm at 60%. What does that mean? I have a chance of half of them, you said, or no chance at all, or what?
Okay, so you're talking in terms of qualification. I'll stand up so I'm not staring at you backwards, but let's say you're at 60% and you're at a 4-person household, right? 87,600. The price point will come out for the homes, but there's no mystery to the price point. These are going to be between currently right now through the budgeting around 385,000 to just over 450,000. Okay, that's the total spread of price point of these homes. So it becomes a question, you'll absolutely qualify under the average median income regulation. It's, do you qualify to purchase the home at the different price point? So yeah, technically you qualify for all the homes, right? So there's the least expensive home in the project will be in the 385 range, and it will go up to mid-4s. Just might as well get ahead of that conversation that's coming out in a few weeks as we're pricing all this out. So that's going to be within the income restrictions.
And your total mortgage payment consists of the principal and interest based on the loan amount, and also taxes and insurance, 1/12 of the annual tax bill, 1/12 of the annual homeowner's insurance bill too. And there will also be an HOA fee. So all of that then, including your other debts, would need to fall under the debt to income limits.
Something to keep in mind with this, Erie wants to be able to have this be where it stays affordable. So let's just say the real estate market went up 10%. These will be restricted in how much they can go up. Right, so that way, you know, in 5 years, 6 years, you want to move away. You're not gonna necessarily see full on market appreciation. I believe we've capped at 5%.
5%, which is, yeah, well above what typically these programs
Yeah.
have. So 5% per year that you own the home.
Yeah, and if you know this, historically, housing's gone up 4%. 2021 and 2020 were weird years. But otherwise, it's 4% annually is what we've seen. So at 5%, you should be able to realize most of the appreciation. The other thing too is when you go to sell one day, the person you sell to would also have to fit into an AMI restriction as well. It'll be a higher one than this, but just so you know that will be a part of it. But the nice thing is if you're going up 5% every year, you're right in line with the market over time. Now, what questions do people have?
Are you gonna cover taxes and HOA fees?
Hey, what they'll be?
When those get determined, I'll let them speak to that.
I would say taxes I can't speak to, is do evaluation, and we can put that information out over the next few weeks. HOA fees, I would expect on a project this size, and please don't hold me to this exact number.
It's really.
Sure, it's gonna be where just under $200. I think that's accurate on a monthly basis.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, the last project we did was just under $200. So we try to put as little in the HOA as possible, so not a big HOA fee associated with them. The HOA fee basically covers all of your common maintenance for the projects, the snow removal, those typical things. It would not be your home insurance. I'm a fan of putting as little in the HOA as possible.
So liability insurance won't be included?
That's
No.
correct. You have liability for the HOA, right,
Yeah.
but not your personal property liability insurance.
yeah, 'cause sometimes like an HOA will insure like your roof and your exterior, this one won't, so when you get homeowners insurance, I'll have to let them know that's what that policy looks like. So,
And when you talk to us, we'll remind you of that as well.
Looks like you might have questions from the audience.
oh, thank you, I'm so bad at chat. So someone asked, is this strictly for first time home buyers? No, it's for anyone that qualifies AMI based, right? That's really how that'll work.
Some of the loan programs, though, are restricted to first-time home buyers. Those are noted on our information pieces here.
Someone asked if you can email us the information. If you don't mind, drop your email in the chat or register if you go to cheesmanstreet.com. That's how we're gonna pull most of the data for emailing out information. And Cheesman is spelled CHES or EES. There's no third E.
Right.
Sorry, it's all on the flyer right there. And so I'll just put it on here. All right. Is there a preference being given for Erie teachers? We're not doing preferences based on jobs. We're just doing first come, first serve, you know? So if the home's in,
So, the town of Erie in our, town code, we define affordable housing by tying it to the Boulder County numbers. So that's effective townwide in terms of our, municipal policy, because our cost of living, home values, everything like that, much more in line with Boulder County as a whole than Weld County as a whole. The only time the Weld County aspect will come into it is if you're applying for an outside entity that might say this property is in Weld County, so we're using the Weld County numbers. Otherwise, we're using Boulder County.
was there another handout?
Yeah, I was wondering if these houses would be associated with Metro Tax?
They will not. We will not have a metro district.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is parking like?
What is parking like? So some of them have garages and some of them have carports.
I can answer that on the townhome product. And again, you'll get all these floor plans and you'll see the detail of all this. So every townhome has 2 full garage spaces within the townhome. And every single family, detached single family home has 1 covered carport and an outside storage, and then an uncovered parking spot as well. It's a very kind of architectural carport, with a nice looking, but it's the garage is 2-car garages for the 20 townhomes, and then the 15 single family detached carport with a covered storage area as well, and then a separate parking pad. All of that is directly behind the home. And then there is some common parking, and we do have an agreement with the church for overflow parking if you were gonna have a party or something to that effect. So just north of the site, there's some additional parking there so that you're not trying to cram into the alleys of the project. And they were very gracious.
So one question, any preference for town of workers that, for the town of Erie workers, there's no preference based on job, unfortunately, so.
Is there any-
Not, yeah, go for it.
is there any preference based on the current residency, like?
There is not, now I said it's preference is tricky, but there's also fair housing implications with all the preferences that we put out. So we had 2 options here: run a full out lottery system with points, or run a first come, first served basis where we have a very defined start date.
Yeah.
That's why that November 16th say it's critical, to have the applications in.
Yeah.
Because it's optically very simple to a first come, first served, right? And so what that means is you'll have the pre-application that's turned in. It's not about when you hear back in the pre-application and when that runs through the town and Alpine's vetting, it's the second you turned it in, right? So don't be concerned with, does it take them 3 weeks to respond? It will be time-stamped in the order that they came in. And so from there, you get into the reservation system. I'm rehashing what Will said already, but this is, it's detailed, right? So you would run into a reservation and that time frame is, Will, what did you say, January?
January, we go to contract? Or no, go to,
Reservation.
oh, yeah.
Reservation, I believe is January. So
No,
when
no,
you
no,
put
we're
the-
gonna get a
You
reservation.
can pull it back up. When you put the $500 up and you have the reservation, that shows you will know exactly where you are in line. Okay, so there's not gonna be a cloud of doubt. And we will take more reservations than actual homes. Because as you go through the qualification process, unfortunately, some people are going to fall, statistically, some people are gonna fall out of that program.
Well, no, I thought the reservations, we're gonna go to, end of November. As they're
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
November, I'm sorry.
as your, pre-app gets a stamp that yes, you fit into the AMI box, then we'll go to reservation. And then you're gonna be in a holding pattern as we go through, all of December, and then January, that's when we're gonna start going through the approval. There is also, if you wanna do CHAFA, there's a class, is it September 8th?
September sixth.
September 6th, there's a one, and it's here local, right?
It's at the ECC from 11:30 to 6:30.
11:30 to 6:30, and there's other opportunities to take it, and I did check with Chafa. If you take it from now on, there'll be enough time. You just have to take it within a certain window, but that's more than enough time that will be inside the window. So if you guys want to explore those options, you can absolutely.
And if we can, I'll send you some information if you can include it when you send out the recording.
Absolutely. We had some more questions in here. So in terms of outdoor space, all the single families have outdoor gated patio areas. The townhomes do not have that. Kelly, I'm not sure what that last question is. I'm sorry. I think I'm not sure. I'm sorry about that. The nice thing is, even though you may not have an outdoor space for yourself, there is that green space that we have for the pet area and whatnot as well.
The last question was, will there be preference for Erie residents?
Oh, yeah,
We went into the no preference, just time stamp.
thank you. Yeah, so there is no preference for Erie residents. That was the last question. Oh, yes. So the information that we're gonna send out that you need to submit on the 16th, if this was missed, we're gonna send a series of 4 emails, and I'm gonna have that pre-app attached to each one. That way you're getting it. Now, if you guys are not getting emails, you should probably reach out, because some stuff goes into spam folders and all that. I'm gonna send a recap to everybody that either put their email into this chat, is either registered for this event today, or already registered on cheesemanstreet.com. I'll send that out. So if you're not getting that, I'll probably send it out Wednesday morning. If you don't see it Wednesday, reach out. I'll put my phone numbers on that flyer there, and I'll put my phone number into the chat too. And if you guys aren't getting it, reach out to me, because it's probably just going to spam, and that's not where you want it. So let's see, did I miss any questions?
The town of Erie really wants the residents, as many as possible who live here to get these units. And so there will be other opportunities where the town will be speaking, and we will be speaking to folks that are living here currently. So, and we know the town would like to get as many current residents who are renting into the homeownership as possible.
Yeah, and we're gonna do another event in October. We have not picked a date. We'll send that out to everyone that's signed up. And then for Steve and Ryan, if you guys have questions that are like specific to your financing, if you're like, I don't know what it means, this is going on my financing, their numbers are on those flyers. Those flyers I'm also gonna email out to everybody. You don't have to wait until November 16th, because you might say, is it worth my effort to do this? Does this make sense? So that's where they're available. If it's lending questions, they're the ones to go to. Because when it comes to lending, that's not what I do. Yes, ma'am.
In several times, like if you qualify, who's making that qualification?
All right, so the question's, who makes the qualifying decision?
Decide if I'm qualified.
I can answer that. So it run through two vetting systems. Alpine will go through the pre-application, but the town pre-application, whether Alpine says it doesn't qualify or not, just to make sure that they're not missing that.
And Alpine is a bank or what?
What's that?
What's an Alpine? What is that?
Alpine, I'm sorry, yeah, Alpine Bank, yes.
Okay.
I'm just taking that for granted. Yes, Alpine Bank will review it. And Alpine, which Ryan and Steve are from Alpine here, but I want to be very clear about this. They're the preferred lender on the project. That doesn't mean you have to use Alpine Bank to make this loan, right? We shoulder up with them so that we can run a very smooth pre-application process. They understand all the lending facilities around affordable and attainable housing. But there are other lenders that will make these loans as well. Sorry. But it's important to stipulate, this is not, you've got to use Alpine Bank no matter what. They are our preferred lender because it is much more streamlined to line up with a lender. And that's very typical for these type of projects, so that all the information stays the same for the town.
So Valerie, I don't know if you heard that. All the qualifiers are through Alpine Bank. Like we all have to submit our pre-apps through them, but you don't have to work with them. Going back to this other question, do you continually verify eligibility? I think, was it 6 months out? Is that the deadline, or is it 3 months out for eligibility for the program? I think it's 6 months, isn't it? For the to qualify for the project, not to qualify for the loan. That qualification is good for 6 months, correct?
That's right, but what that would mean is you just re-qualify before you purchase the house.
So
There's no falling out of line or anything to pre-qualify, but there is a limit of how long that qualification would last. And so be very feasible, especially in the townhomes, to actually qualify the second time. But all that is updating information.
I think the question is asking, like, let's say you get a massive raise.
yeah, if you get a raise a week before closing, you've already been qualified, where you're not gonna lose the home. I think that's what they're asking too. If you get a raise, now, if you qualify in January and you get a massive raise and your townhome's not closing until, October, that could bump you out. So it just depends on that, but it's a 6-month window that it's good for. Okay. Let's see. So you only have to take the CHAFA class if you want to do the CHAFA program. If you're like, you know what, I have my own down payment. I prefer to not go that route. You don't have to do it. So it's totally up to you guys on that.
But they do offer good first-time homebuyer programs and resources there as well.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
I took the class in March and I wish I had taken it before I bought my home. So I would encourage everyone to utilize that.
So a question on here, and I'll let you guys answer this one. Is it worth getting qualified by Alpine Bank before going down this path, right? Just to see if you even have a chance. And I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, would you go through the whole qualification process, or just have more of a conversation over the phone?
Well, to actually do a full pre-qualification, we do need to pull your credit. Credit reports are generally good for 90 to 120 days. Most of the lenders we're gonna be working with probably 120 days. So we, when that time comes, we will need to refresh your credit. So we are a little sensitive with that. We don't want to unnecessarily pull. But if you are in a situation where you thought that, you're really on the line, I would say no matter what, put your name on the list, protect your spot. That's first and foremost. But then if you have questions about that, I mean, the qualification is going to be very similar to a non-affordable house with respect to qualifications. You need to have had, your job for 2 years. There are some provisions that allow for less than that. For instance, if you came just out of school or if you've taken a break from school, but we have the answers to that. We're going to need 2 years of filed tax returns, 2 months of bank statements, 30 days of pay stubs. And yes, you would want to keep that in mind to get that loan funded. Of course, unfortunately, if you were to lose your job, God forbid, and that won't happen, but that would impact your ability to get an approval if that happens shortly before applying. So does that help a little bit?
I mean, if you have like specific questions, if you're like, I had a bankruptcy 6 months ago, am I going to qualify? Right? With those, I would reach out to Steve and Ryan because, there are certain things that will, no, if you had a bankruptcy, you're not gonna qualify for this house for at least X amount more time, So there are some that are specific that if you want to do that, you can reach out, they can say yes or no. But if you want to get I'm fully qualified from them, it will be a process. You'll have to fill out the full application, get all the supporting documentation, have a hard credit pull. If that's for you, I think that'd be okay. If you want to hold off on that, you can. Pre-application, it's not going to be as thorough. It's gonna be more of, here's your income, here's this and that. And then when we reach out again in January, it'll be a much more thorough qualification. Okay. Now I'll say this too, once you're qualified, I like to send something to my buyers that says the 10 commandments of what not to do when buying a house. Right? We don't co-sign for people on other loans, right? And so we'll reach out to you because the last thing we want is for someone to go out and max out their credit cards and buying furniture right before closing or something. Because we want, as you're going down this road, to have a smooth experience so that the day of closing, you're not sweating bullets. Is it gonna work or not? And so I always send that out. It's just like, here's the things you don't do, right? You don't quit your job, for instance, okay? So.
Yep, and I'm glad you mentioned that. That's really important because many of you will be pre-qualified much earlier for a purchase than usual, unless you're buying a new home, which would be a similar thing. But so, what you buy could affect your debt to income. So if you do have questions about that, we know you need to live your life, but if you're planning some major purchases around this time, you would want to contact us to talk.
I think there was a question back there.
Yeah, I think at one point you said half of the homes will go to people under 90% AMI, and then the other half for people under 120% AMI.
So the question is, how are we gonna break this up? So
I'm curious why you wouldn't fill the need with the people still under the 90% and why, I don't understand that thinking.
I can answer that. So part of it is trying to have, so there's a missing middle of housing in Erie, right? We have the similar projects in similar cities that have the same problem. So the idea was to put some product type along a few price points in those price points that are missing in town. The reality of the 90% and the 110% is that because of the product. So for instance, there's a 1,500 square foot townhome and a corner unit. Let's just say that's 455,000, right? A 90% AMI would struggle to qualify for that price point. So we're actually putting different product along the spectrum. I understand the question. If we put out 35 identicals, like, why are you doing that?
No, that makes sense.
So yeah, we're spreading them out. And there will be 4 or 5 price points along the continuum. It's not just everything in X and everything in Y. There's plenty in the middle.
And the other thing on that, the 110, it's really like, 100 to 110, they're in one bucket. The 90 and below, they're in that bucket, but they could also say, you inherited money and you had a substantial down payment. So because of that, your debt to income ratio is under control. You could still buy in that other bucket. So the 90 and below are not restricted from going up, but the 100 and 110, that smaller segment, is restricted from going down.
Right.
So, because it's, like you said, it's gonna be hard to qualify for that higher end product. But if you've been saving money for a long time, and you've got a nice hefty down payment, you absolutely could. If you don't carry debt and you have a big down payment, it could work out. Does that can help? What do you have, Becton? Do student loans affect your debt to income ratio? Let's let these guys talk about that. They're fun.
Yeah, we have to take, so if there's no payment attached to it, so let's say that it's deferred, we have to take 5% of the balance of the student loan.
Okay.
So if you're not making payments, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the smarter thing is to not have them deferred anymore, because then you can take a smaller amount, correct?
Yeah, because usually what's going to reflect on your credit report as far as what that payment is owed is going to be less than that 5%. So if there's a payment reflective of the balance, then we just use what that current payment is.
Now, how many months do I need to make payments for it to count? Is it just one payment, 2?
I think it just needs to show up once, right?
I'm sorry.
So if I'm gonna take my student loans out of deferment.
Yep.
Right, I get to do I need to have made 2 payments already? Or is
Yeah.
it just 1 payment? Cause I know there's different standards for
So,
that.
and there's a second measure, there's what shows on your credit report, but if you also have a statement that shows a payment, we can use that as well.
So as long as I've made 1 payment, I'm good.
Yeah.
So I could come out of deferment in January and we could count the payment amount, not the 5% of the total loan balance.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right.
Is there a chance like you qualify for the house and for some reason they don't give you the loan? Is it possible or that's part of the qualification?
Speak more, so you qualify based on your AMI?
Oh, and yeah, and then for some reason your loan doesn't get approved or something.
That's absolutely possible. So if my income is, well, we don't have the boxes up there, but I'm at 80 AMI or 90 AMI.
Mhm,
So I qualify based on AMI.
mhm,
Well, let's say I also have a ton of debt,
mhm.
okay? And so with that, it's a really basic formula, and basically there's a thing called a debt to income ratio. Let's just say for easy numbers, I make $10,000 a month. If I have $5,000 in reoccurring monthly debt, I'm basically at 50%. The line is about 50%. Okay, there's little nuances to it, but let's just say it's 50%. So if I had $2,000 in reoccurring debt and my payment was going to be $3,000, then I'm going to squeak right at that 50% line, right? Well, let's say I just carry $5,000 in debt and I make 10 grand. I'm not going to qualify because I have no room in my debt to income ratio. So another thing you guys can look at is you can talk to these guys, because one way to open up debt to income ratio is to take your monthly payment that's the largest with the lowest balance and pay that off. Because if you pay that one off, then it just opened up a lot in your debt to income ratio. And that's something they can talk to higher than I can, but there may be things that you say, you know what, maybe between now and January, I start paying off that car aggressively. So that $600 a month payment is gone. Because that would just open up so much. And if you only had 3 payments left on the car, you get it done by then, instead of
Yeah.
stretching it out. So that's gonna be the biggest factor is your credit score, your debt to income ratio, and the actual approval process. But when we get you through the pre-app process, that is purely, what is your AMI? So that's where you could definitely, be good on the pre-app, but not good on the other piece. So debt management, how you have that on a monthly basis, that'll matter.
I do want to make one comment there. And our goal is to put people in houses, right? So if for some reason that were to happen, you were in the AMI range, but you just couldn't get the loan done, everywhere along that line, that money would be refundable. So the idea is not to trap somebody where they get stuck and there's a $500,000 catch in here. I would strongly encourage you to go through the process if you could. These guys have some creative facilities to try to get it done. But yeah, ultimately, which qualifying for the loan, even the market rate loan. Yes, and then there's the AMI, and those two things have to jive.
All right, so we have a question. Do we use the standard contract to buy and sell real estate? No. Most builders do not, because it doesn't allow for construction delays or anything like that. There's just so many different factors when buying new construction. So it's not the standard real estate contract, if you've ever seen that. Also, I mean, the thing about buying non-affordable, so the process will be, besides the pre-app, the rest will pretty much be all the same process as buying new construction. It really will be. I mean, that pre-app, the AMI piece is really the only difference. Everything else, if you're buying new construction, will be just like this. So the same options to terminate as other buyers. I'm not totally sure what that question means. The standard contract to buy and sell in real estate has certain ones and certain ways of terminating. We have not finished our contract yet, so I mean, it's not going to be the same because you're under contract for a much larger period of time. So I don't know if that helps answer that question or not.
But there are provisions to.
Yeah,
a contract.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And get your deposit.
If you don't qualify for the loan, you can get out of it, but our whole point of doing this timeline is to know or believe that you fully qualify, for the loan. So, I mean, our goal is not to, hold up people's money. We just want to provide a great product at a great price.
There will definitely be stops along the way in the contract when the earnest money would be refundable to certain things like A, not qualifying for the loan, right? B would be acceptance of the house. There are some caveats there that are very similar to the state contract. But we are finalizing the contract with them right now.
All right. I don't know, do you guys have other questions?
How many of the homes will be 2-bedroom versus 3-bedroom?
How many homes are 2-bedroom versus 3-bedroom?
There are 3 2-bedroom homes, I can answer that. And so everything else is 3-bedroom.
Wait, there's 3 2-bedrooms?
There are 3 2-bedroom homes.
Okay.
The townhouses are,
They're all 3-bedroom, 2.5 baths,
Basements or no?
no basements. And one thing, in the next gen, like energy efficiency, that little marker that was on there. So you have a couple different levels. Next gen is Excel's most stringent energy efficiency. We actually get some rebates for utilizing, but that's, if you've heard net zero ready home, it's slightly above that in efficiency. So these are super efficient, all electric homes.
And I don't know the answer to this question. If applying as a family, does each person need a certificate for the first time home buyers class or just one? Just one. Just one. Okay.
You said the townhomes are all 3 bedrooms?
That's correct.
Is there approximate square footage?
Yes, so the townhomes are 1,500-ish square feet. I think they're right at it. There are, the very smallest home in the development is right at 900 square feet. It's a cool 2-bedroom, single-story house. 1,150 feet, 1,350 feet are kind of the main square footage blocks.
And when we send out floor plans, there'll be square footage with
Absolutely.
it so that you get an idea of what you're looking at, because just on the drawing, how else would you know? Yeah. Cool. Anyone else have questions? No? Well, perfect. We'll send out the flyers with these guys' loan information on it, their contact information. My contact info will obviously be an email. Feel free to reach out with questions at any time. I always tell people, we're not buying shoes, we're buying a house. It's a really big deal. So with that in mind, like, we're here to help, here to answer questions. There's never a stupid question. I'll be real on that, because a lot of people are like, I don't want to ask this. I'm like, just ask. It'll be way better we get clarity on this. And then, like I said, if you're not seeing my email by the end of Wednesday, reach out to me, get my phone number from there, or if you're on the Zoom, get it from the chat, and you just reach out and we'll see what's going on. If maybe we have to do something else to make sure it ends up in your inbox. And then when you get to the pre-app, if it's lending, reach out to these guys. If you can't find their number, reach out to me, and obviously I'll just get you connected with them. That way we're all on the same page, because we want this to be smooth and easy for everybody.
And there are flyers here. Feel free to grab. There are 3 separate flyers. Feel free to grab one before you guys leave.
Oh, maybe I missed that, but could you please introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'd like to know what you're building.
That was really good. So my name is Will Story.
You can tell it's the very first one.
Yeah, we're working out the kinks. Thanks for being the guinea pigs. My name is Will Story. I'm a real estate agent. I've been in the industry for 12 years, and I've been working with Walker since 2019 on projects. And so this is just a new way of looking at how do we help with this problem, but I do more of the sales and then the process of the sales, going from whether it's pre-app all the way to closing. And then we also help when it gets closer to inspections and stuff like that. I don't know how you want to introduce yourself. I don't know.
I'm Walker Thrash, I'm a vertical with the development group on the project. And I will say this, we're very much kind of a design build firm, kind of architect, internal, project managers, internal, and we're super excited about trying to figure out how do we help with this. This is, most of our projects are market rate projects. We do not do a lot of deed restricted housing projects, but we really line ourselves up in public-private, and we saw the need in Erie. We have a similar project that we are working on later in the year in Longmont with the city with very similar issues, right? But I think it's an interesting challenge. We're trying to solve it with design, creative financing, grants from the state. This was actually the very first, you've heard of Prop 123 that was passed in Colorado. This is the first home ownership permit from the state. So it's a very new program, and we're working through it as we go. It's been a couple of year process to get to this.
And I'm Ryan, this is my counterpart, Steve, we're with Alpine Bank, Alpine's a local Colorado bank. Started on the western slope.
50-year bank. We started up in the mountains and we've been down here for about 7-8 years now, throughout the metro area. We are the only green bank, as audited by KPMG, in the country. So our values align very well with, the communities down here. And again, we welcome your questions.
I'm Eric Leverage. I'm the housing management analyst for the town of Erie, and I can answer Hilaria's question. We are working on more opportunities like this for the town of Erie. We purchased the formerly known as the Page property right by Coal Creek Park. We're in the very, very early stages of that development. It's actually going to be split between housing and open space. So that will be our next town funded project. And we'll be continuing to apply for grant money and invest any way we can in future opportunities. So it's definitely a huge priority for the town. These things obviously take time, but it's something that we're really hoping to invest a lot in the future.
Someone asked, was the AMI chart Boulder or Weld? That was Boulder County. I know it's in Weld, but we're going off of Boulder's numbers. Yeah, my phone number, my email, or the cell phone I put in there, either one works. They both go to the same place. Oh, I own a townhome. I will have to sell. Will this likely put me in a lower position on the qualification list? How do you guys want to answer that?
Shouldn't.
I mean, from my understanding, you cannot own a home and qualify for this. However, as long as by the closing date, I've sold my townhome, it would work, right? Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
And does there need to be a delay in between, or it could be a simultaneous closing same day?
Same thing makes it tough, but I mean, technically you could.
Okay, so yeah, you can, if you own a townhome and you need to get it sold, you don't need to sell yet, you can wait till right at the end. The name of the next affordable housing, was that the Page property that you said, Eric?
Actually, now it's Coal Creek. It's Village at Coal Creek is what we're calling it right now.
Village at Coal Creek is what they're calling it. So.
But again, that's very, very early in the process. That'll be a couple of years down the line.
Now, they say very early in the process, what do you think, like 3 to 5 years?
At least 2.
At least 2 years. So, and that would be from completion or from breaking ground?
Good question.
Well, it's at least 2.
We're early enough in the process that I can't give concrete answers about that. We've got a huge metal warehouse on that property that we have to get demolished before we can even start taking proposals on the layout of the site.
Got it. So we've got time.
We've got time.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Maybe more of an observation than a question, because I'm part of an organization that works with families with low income and food assistance. And the need that I'm kind of picking up on is for education. You talked about the class that you went to that every home buyer should probably attend. And is there other opportunities for folks to learn, how do I raise my credit score? What kind of debt do I pay off? Those all sound like things that would be really helpful for families to have an opportunity to learn.
Yeah, so when Will follows up with the next email, he'll send out links to both where you can register for the course that's in Erie, as well as other CHAFA approved courses. They're all around the metro, almost every week, I'd say. There's a different opportunity. And also folks can reach out to me. I have business cards here and maybe you can share my information as well in the next email. We've also had initial conversations with the financial counseling program through Boulder County, and they're willing to partner with us. I think specifically if folks have questions about what they might need to do between now and closing to make sure that they've got all their ducks in a row. Obviously, you can talk to Alpine about that, but if you'd like, a one-on-one conversation with a financial, housing counselor, we have those contacts and they're definitely ready to serve folks who are looking at Cheesman.
And I've got a follow-up to that. Freddie Mac, a couple of these programs are Freddie Mac programs. And, some people like to do their, research on their own. Call us if you like to talk about stuff. We're happy to work through it. But if you want to do some homework on your own, you can go to Freddie Mac's website. And they have got a lot of training materials there, a lot of information. They've got a Q&A of the most common questions that are asked. Really good resource as well. And they have also information on their affordable programs, of which we've listed them here, but a lot of resources there that explain more about those as well.
One in the recap email, I'll include that link you guys see up there. It's for the Boulder County Personal Finance Program that Eric was referencing. And so you can do some research on there as well. And then if we're able to get together a larger meeting with them, we'll make sure we send all that information out as well.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Well, if no one has any other questions, we're gonna tie this up. I'm gonna hang out here for a few minutes. So if anyone has questions, feel free to come and talk to me. Ryan and Steve are here and we really appreciate you guys coming. Grab the flyer if you haven't registered on the site. Please do. It's just a much easier way for us to communicate. And then grab Ryan and Steve's phone number over there. And then everyone online, I'll be sending this out. If you put your email in the chat, I'll be adding you guys to the list as well. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.
Yes. Speak about it.